thank you first of all for everyone who's joined us today. This is the first of a few masterclasses we're going to organise from the guys at Plan, and appreciate everyone joining, and hopefully this will be an informative session for everyone to run through, and everyone finds it useful. Just a quick overview of what we're going to do. We'll do a couple of quick introductions. We'll then roll on to the agenda. Well, I've got Caitlin and Shirani in the room who are just organising some of the bits on the actual meeting. There'll be polls, there'll be questions thrown out. Obviously, encourage engagement. It's a good way of us assessing. Ultimately, you guys are finding the content useful, and scope these and hopefully do a few more of these. So hopefully everyone finds it useful. In terms of intros, I know quite a few people on the call, but just to give a very, very quick introduction overviews for the two guys that are on your screen. My name's Jonny Callow. I've worked for Plan for 7 years. I am the internal account manager at Plan, internal sales manager. I've worked here and worked my way through Plan started off as account manager to the stage where I currently manage all the internal managers here at plan.com. I think it's safe to say that in some way, shape or form, the business touches myself or my team, which is great. And in terms of my Plan experience, I was around when we launched my Plan in 2020 and have been involved in its evolution since then. So pretty well placed to give expertise and pass on some of my knowledge in terms of how to really push the proposition and sell the proposition. And then on my right is Charlie. He'll give a quick hi and overview.
Morning all, thanks for that, Jonny. So my name's Charlie. I'm an enterprise account manager here at Plan. I've been at Plan now for the past coming to 2 years. I started off in customer service, worked my way up to sales, and here we are delivering you guys a My Plan Masterclass.
Perfect. So as an agenda, and I think you can all see that on screen, what we're aiming to do today is we're looking to give you guys the ability to understand and sell My Plan. It's only 20 minutes, and ultimately there's some USPs here that we think will really benefit your proposition. But ultimately, we're not trying to overdo this. Ultimately, we feel there's a couple of key bits that we think hopefully you'll take away and really understand and help you really push the proposition. In terms of the features, so Charlie's going to run through a couple of game-changing features that we think you may be missing or maybe not quite understanding in terms of the proposition. Again, just some quick snapshots in terms of what that looks like, and hopefully it all makes sense. I'm going to spend 10 minutes or so running through what I class as one of the key USPs of My Plan, which is the insights. So the ability to review overspend, how to view data usage, and the actions you can take as a result of it. We're going to talk around some tips from the front line. So some key customers that have been on board with Plan and reasons they either came on board or renew with Plan. And again, to give you a bit of context of what those USPs were and how they related to a customer sale. And then we'll finish off with a 10-minute Q&A. Any questions that kind of come through the session that the girls will log, and we'll hopefully get round to answering as we get towards the end of the session. Before we jump onto the Charlie's bits, there is an opportunity just before I do the customer frontline bit where we will poll who effectively has any questions. But as a starting point, I'm just going to get Shirani to pop a quick poll into the group just to see ultimately how familiar you guys are with My Plan. And it's good to get a feel of who was on the call that's new to it. We're not going to tailor the session accordingly, but it'd just be good to see out of all the users who has a real good experience and who's new to it as well. So that'd be good if you don't mind doing that for me. Close that down. Cool. So without further ado, I'm going to jump onto the first bits for Charlie, and Charlie's going to jump onto this now and talk around a few of the major USPs for My Plan.
Perfect. Cheers for that, Jonny. So with myself being an enterprise and previously working in the SMB space, what I'm going to give you guys now is 3 game-changing My Plan features, which may be forgotten or unforgotten. So the first one being group profiles. So what are group profiles? Group profiles allow you to organize users by department, location, or function. What that does, that enables streamlined control and consistent communication across the business. So what that means is if you're a big SMB or enterprise business, you can be able to filter that and put certain, let's say, directors, sales, customer service into their own profile. So let's say you have directors going away to Mauritius next week. You can go in and you can add and manage services accordingly to add bolt-ons, spend caps, data calls and text controls, 50, 80, 100% usage notifications. It gives you the ability to limit or unlimit data calls and text. You have quick response capability, that being instantly push changes, updates or restrictions to specific groups. So for like O2 in a year, you're spending half an hour on the phone with them. With us, you use the portal, it's done within 30 seconds to a minute. You have scalable oversight. So whether managing 10 or 1,000 users, you can control your connected workforce or subgroups with just a few clicks. So let's say you have directors who want unlimited spend. When they go away, you go into your group profiles, you click the directors, you manage that, you take off spend caps accordingly. You can go and into your sales staff or should be on the phone, they should be on YouTube and whatnot. You can go in and you can limit streaming speed as well. So group profiles is definitely one of the ones that I would throw down as a game changing my plan feature.
Yeah, agreed. So just a bit of context from my point of view. So I think we've done probably about, let's say 50 to 60 demos so far this year when I did a quick stat count with my team. I think whenever we talk to a customer that's over a certain size, let's say even 25 sims to 50 sims, this is probably quite an underused feature and something that I think for any medium to large customer should be a definite surefire. So ultimately, how a customer is set up on my plan, we all, for those who are ingrained in my plan, know the ability to set individual caps and individual bars and everything that comes with it. That's fine. But effectively, when you're talking about a larger account, it's the ability to set these group profiles that allows a user or the partner the ability to administer this account very quickly. You can go in, make a quick change, add users around it accordingly. It just makes life a lot easier. Again, in a world where overspend and the relationship you have with the customer is so important, we try and impart this particular feature on you guys to make that customer experience as best as it can be. And if it's painful, we just realize it gets missed off. So again, for me, any medium to large customer, this is probably the starting point of any setup when it comes to my plan from my point of view, which I'm sure you agree with as well, Charlie.
Especially being an enterprise.
Agreed. Cool. All right, I'll move on to the next one.
So going on to the next one, which many of our partners don't know that we do, is asset tracking. So when you go into the portal, you are able to find what device is associated with what user. So what is asset tracking? Let's start off with. So within the my.plan portal, it provides real-time insight into which devices are being used and where and who they are associated with. That's ensuring full transparency across the mobile estate and business. So whether you're a 1,000 SIM customer or 500 SIM customer and you get hardware via us or not, the SIM number that you put into the phone will pull the data from the IMEI, that will pull through into my tell us what device is associated with that number or user. It's an unforgotten feature. It's one thing that we offer through my plan. It's easy for businesses to come through and manage their assets. You know, like a delivery company, you may have users on the road. You don't know what phones they have, what phones they're using. It's, let's say, a stock list of what can be reassigned or reallocated. So what that does is it boosts accountability. Employees in a business are solely responsible for the assigned devices, reducing loss or mismanagement. Asset tracking, if you are the authorized user on my plan, you have the ability to then track which device is assigned to what user, either via the IMEI or phone number associated to that. Improved security, so it gives you quick identification of unusual activity, allows for rapid response for potential risks. So if a user on the road loses their phone, you can come into the my plan portal and you can bar that phone accordingly to that.
So let's reference some specific examples here then. So for me, this is a feature, and again, for the people who are on the call who understand my plan, and for those who don't, we have a subscription modeling plan where we talk about essential, gold, and platinum experience on my plan. This feature is available for everyone. So effectively, what you can do is this is available to everyone that displays on the customer cards and isn't broken down by platinum or gold, which is something that's locked away for certain other features. Something that Charlie mentioned there is the ability to report on this. This is done individually on the customer cards, but what we do with some of our enterprise accounts is actually provides, based on the link in via our APN, we can provide a report to each customer that says, here is the SIM number, here is the mobile, here is what's being used against that device, and show it accordingly. It's a conversation that is used more in the enterprise space, but again, bearing in mind the value of kit and what's being outlaid to the customers, what we find is it's a really valuable report for people just to keep an eye on where that kit is. It's such an important part of it, especially for the value of things as well. So again, as Charlie says, something that is a little bit of underused feature on my plan, but something that certainly some of our large customers are talking about when it comes to asset tracking.
I'll add on to that as well, being if you're a big customer, let's say you're a partner yourself, there's some big customers on the base, coming up to point of renewal, you want to pull an asset tracking report, we can find out what assets are out of date, you can come through to us and we can re-establish and get some new hardware out of it.
That's a really good point in terms of renewals actually, isn't it? Yeah, so effectively what you're doing there is you're providing a report to a customer and partner that says, here's your current listed devices and organise a refresher required. Yeah, it's a really good point, Charlie. Well made, mate.
It was a good point to throw in there.
Definitely.
So going on to the next one as well, which is a feature that is kind of forgotten as well from my plan, I'd say, is the cost centers. So like mentioned, if you're an SMB business or enterprise, you want to find out where spend is being incurred, you can do that through our cost centers, which will then be able to give you a breakdown of what department is occurring overspend or not. So effectively, a cost center allows you to group accounts by office, location, or role. That's creating tailored invoice summaries, usage insights, and charge breakdowns. So when you go into the invoice of a customer via my.plan, it'll give you a breakdown of sales, all the numbers associated there, and you can find a breakdown of, let's say, you get £5 grand overspend each month. Okay, well, you'll be able to break that down. Directors, £5 grand in Mauritius. Let's go down to sales, premium text, and SMS and whatnot going into there. So what it does is, if you're a big business and you're cost efficient, it's the best thing that we offer is cost centers. That's what I'd implement as well with group profiles as well, touching on that. So it improves budget accuracy. You can allocate and monitor telecom spend by team or region. Like I mentioned, you can filter it down via department if you are a big customer. We have some big customers that use this. They want to mitigate spend completely. They'll only let the directors overspend. Anything that they see sales team or the customer service or HR, Ofcom spend caps, they know that they're only paying for what their airtime is. Yeah. So it simplifies reporting. You can quickly generate actionable summaries for finance or team leads. No manual sorting, because when you download the invoice, it'll give you a segmented down to department of what you put cost centers in. You can allocate numbers accordingly into what department they're in. Invoicing gives you a detailed description of each individual against the cost center and filter down in the department so it's clear where spend has occurred.
We checked out a customer before we went on this demo, didn't we? And I think what we liked about this particular customer was that you saw the cost centers align with the group profiles, because effectively what we're saying there is that they are two separate things and do require amending accordingly. But in my mind, as an enterprise account, you want to have the cost center aligned with the group profile, because you want to ensure that the actions align alongside each other. So if you gave the example there, Charlie, about a director, if you've got a director account as cost centered and you've got a director profile accordingly, you should expect to see overspend based on that action requirement. So it's, again, just ensuring the two align alongside each other. But equally as well, it might not be a requirement. You might have a customer that just has a very basic set of requirements in terms of Ofcom caps, and you're set via my.plan, and the cost center might be more detailed accordingly. Again, I think one of the things we always talk about with my.plan, certainly when doing demos, is that it's down to the customer and the partner to really bespoke what those requirements are. But effectively how that then pulls into reports or the functionality with it is all done via my.plan. It just really depends on the customer's experience. Okay, so we're going to jump into next, insights. So what are insights? For me, insights are the ability to actually see what happens on a customer's account. That's reported in various ways via my.plan. And what I'm going to do today is show you what they look like and ultimately how you can then put things in place to prevent those types of activity. And we're talking about probably the two biggest banes of contention for a mobile customer, which is overspend and data usage. So when it comes to this experience on my.plan, what we're trying to give you as the partner to impart onto your customer is the ability to manage your customer in a way that no one else can do. So effectively, we're giving you the best customer service tool that allows you to manage your customer in a way that results in repeat business recommendations over and over again, okay? So when it comes to the insight side of things, very, very simply, on the left-hand side, you have all your customers listed. So again, for context, this is our famous demo accounts. The data in here is fictitious, but again, it just highlights the points for me more than anything else. So for example, on the left-hand side here, I can see every single user on the estate. Well, as a very simple starting point, how much data has an individual used mid-month? Well, I can see this person here has used 3 GB out of their allowance. Now, as a starting point, when you reference your customer experience, what's their current experience? They get the bill, they pay the bill. They get the bill, they pay the bill. So what we're doing straight away is giving you the ability to see your customer, what they're using, how much they're using, and make a result accordingly. That's basic insights, and it's such a simple feature for our portal. And again, we're not talking about locking this away behind a feature. This particular feature is available for all users, okay? When you break it down further, I click on the customer card. I scroll down a little bit further to the data usage and click on view usage for all sites. This is where it starts to get really nerdy and granular, where you can start to see the in-depth details of what's happening on this individual line. So rental charges, nice and simple, what they're actually being charged for. Extras, have there been any overspends? Have there been any bolt-ons purchased? But the usage, this is where it gets really granular. So how much data is being used? How much voice is being used? How many SMS is being used? Has it resulted in any overspend? Starting point. So for me, when you talk about single SIM estates, nice and simple, view here, view the customer card, and you can view things as a real quick snapshot. Where I think the functionality becomes really important for any customer, let's say above 5-10 handsets, is what you can view on the overall account. So if I hover over usage, click on all. This will bring up what we call in Plan the live bill. So effectively, what is currently being used on the base and what is resulting in any usage or overspend as well. So if I click on usage, it will display on the base every single bit of data that's being used, every call that's been made, every SMS that's been made as well. So again, if you want to see how much voice calls have been made, how many SMSs have been made, there might be a reporting requirement here for a user in the sales team. You would simply click on voice and it break out how many calls have been made accordingly. And you can see on the left-hand side how many hours and minutes that person's made as a result of it as well. But I think where people get most ingrained into this is probably the overspend and the data side of things. So very, very simply, I can see there's been some costs incurred on the voice calls. I can see that it's been roaming calls. Click on that and it will highlight the users accordingly and display the cost on the left-hand side of how much has been used. When it comes to the data side of things, now this particular demo account hasn't had any data overspend, but what I can do is drill down into how much data has been used and start to really get in depth with the customer around where that profile sits and how and where the data has been used accordingly. So let's click onto the data. I can see that I've had 3 terabyte used. We talk about gold and platinum. Once I start to expand into that subscription, I can see what type of systems are being used. So in the example here, this particular account has used over 400 gigabytes of data on streaming. Okay, that's pretty mega. Let's click on the streaming. And I can see within that, on the platinum side of things, exactly which applications have been used that result in those high streaming content. So the conversation I'll be having with the particular customer is, you've got, for example, a terabyte of shared data. Your staff using your mobiles have used over nearly 500 gigabyte worth of sharing data. Are we comfortable with that as an estate? Are we concerned about that? Should we be making any conversations or changes with it? Well, not only that, I can see specifically which applications have been used: YouTube, Facebook video, Spotify. Are they business critical? Are they a requirement within your business to be used on a working day? Well, okay, that's fine. Who's actually been using them? Well, if I click on Facebook, I can see on the left-hand side that Tina's used nearly 15 gigabyte of the business data on YouTube, on Facebook video. Again, is that what we want to be doing as a business estate? Well, these are conversations you can be having with your customer as a result of having the insights in my plan. What I'll probably just do is just switch off this really quickly and go on to the controls. So we've spotted 2 things. We've spotted that there is a potential risk for overspend, and we spotted there is a potential risk for data and how much data is being used accordingly. Well, in terms of the overspend, hopefully most people on the call will be aware that we offer 2 types of spend controls: Ofcom spend caps and the gold and platinum level alerts and bars. Ofcom is very simple. It allows you to set a bar at 20 quid, £25, whatever it might be, and it cuts off that user accordingly when you reach that cap. Nice and simple. When it comes to data limits and call text and text limits, you can set very specific limits for those 3 actions, but also set domestic and roaming limits as well. And that's more useful for, let's say, for example, you've got a customer that wants to go roaming and not be barred, but you want to be very tight on their overspend in the UK. Again, allowing you to be very bespoke and clear cut for customer with their requirements. That can be set individually by highlighting it here and clicking on setup. It can be done on bulk by clicking on manage all devices. But what I'd probably do is just link into what Charlie referenced before around the group profiles. The ability to set very specific profiles for a certain type of user and be able to control them vary accordingly is something that we talk about to all of our customers when demoing on plan.com. Effectively, the ability to set those specific limits up for those users is something that's very, very important for me. And then when it comes to data usage, well, ultimately, if we've spotted that a person has a particular issue with the amount of streaming that's been done on the page, very, very simply, we bar them. And we can just restrict them accordingly. Now, when it comes to the restrictions, you have different options. You could bar social media, you can bar gambling content, you can bar adult content, you can completely turn off streaming media. But what I would probably reference here is the ability not just to bar it, but actually throttle the data. So within plan.com on our gold and platinum subscriptions, you can actually restrict the data quality that gets pulled through on the user. So rather than accessing really high quality content, you can throttle the speeds. And as a result of it, you can really limit what that individual is accessing. And although allow it, just restrict the quality of content. So again, be a bit more restrictive on what's being used there accordingly. That's pretty much everything in terms of our points on the insights. There are many, many different ways we could drill into this. One thing I'd probably highlight for this call, and bearing in mind we've got emails and addresses for everyone on here, what I'll get Shivani and Caitlin to do post this webinar is share our contact details. What we'd love to do, if there's any further questions post this call, and if anyone wants a further demo, we can disseminate down to the account managers on the regions to have a conversation with you guys. There are so many features and different bits on here that we'd love to talk around. A bit restricted by time, but effectively, if there are any questions and we want to kind of organise any demos, feel free to reach out to myself and Charlie. And if there are people that have different account managers that are on this call, we'll ask them to reach out to you guys and sort out from there. So if anyone's got any questions for us to answer at the end, just click on the Q&A bit at the top of the Teams bit, pop your question in there. We'll just answer those questions towards the end of the presentation, and then we'll kind of drill through there. But I'm just conscious of a bit push for time. So tips from the front line. So this is effectively where we've demoed to a customer, onboarded the customer or renewed a customer, and they've come back to us with very specific feedback that relates to some features on my plan that I thought would be worthwhile talking about today, just to impart some of that knowledge onto you guys. So I've got the first two. We did a demo for a customer that was 105 SIMs in January, where they had a very specific requirement for 10 users, 15 users size profiles, where they wanted very bespoke alerts for that particular customer and bars accordingly. So what we did was we talked them through the group profiles. With our group profiles, there's no limit in terms of how many profiles you have or how many customers you can assign into those profiles. You can add as many in there as you want to. So what we did on the demonstration was we talked to them about the fact you have the profiles, how you set them up accordingly, and how you allocate those. That was the real win for that particular customer. So for that particular estate, they have 10 profiles set up. They've allocated those users in there accordingly. When a new user comes in, it's a click of the button to add that user in there for the profile, and they've got very bespoke alerts and bars set up accordingly. So that was their key reason for wanting to join plan.com. The second one was a bit of a niche one when it came to roaming. So this particular customer came to us in 2022. And asked for, well, their experience was they had users that had to drop everything and run to a far-flung destination in the world. They wouldn't necessarily be aware of it as an IT department. And as a result, they were getting their bill each month and racked up overspend as a result of it. So what we enabled for this particular customer was we set up a very specific profile where we alerted the IT administration team via the alerts and bars section when this customer reached a £50 overspend. When they reach that overspend, we have an authorized captive page. So a captive page is a HTML page that gets sent out to the end user that allows that individual to make a choice on a bolt-on or a up of a spend limit accordingly. And it allows that user to get set up immediately once they touch down. Now, that's a key bit for this customer because it allowed them to monitor their overspend in a way that at least allowed them to apply a bolt-on or a product, but also importantly allowed them not to be affected operationally. So they touched down in the country, they used their data, they accessed their data, but they hit that overspend limit. It sent out that captive page. Bosch straight away allowed them to operate out there, and everyone was set up and roamed accordingly. So that was a real key win for that particular customer. And Charlie's got the last one as well.
Touching on another one that I had, we recently had a 400 SIM customer who've been with us for years and had renewed multiple times based on its self-service at its finest. They don't have to wait half an hour on the phone to EE or O2 to have bolt-ons. They love the ability of just coming on, they go into the port, they can have bolt-ons, they have directors going away. Guess what? They can throw the daily traveller on, they can throw global data on. It's that self-service that you don't get elsewhere with any other network. It's one thing that separates us and is a key USP within Plan, is the ability to self-manage your own SIM estate. It's that individual SIM estate management, isn't it? So you can come on, you can set bars accordingly, you can add bolt-ons on, you can find out where spend is through the cost centers, and you can filter it down to add bolt-ons via the group profile. So this customer renewed with us multiple times based on the efficiency of being able to manage their own SIM estate without intervention from the network themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember being on that call with Charlie, and for me, what was so good about that call was that customer effectively had real issues before they came to plan.com. So they weren't able to add those bolt-ons quickly. They weren't able to make a change, and the overspend as a result of it was astronomical for them. The key for me here, though, and this is something we're happy to kind of take away and speak to different partners about at different times, how customers are managed in my plan depends entirely on the relationship that you as the partner have with the customer. It can be self-serve, it can be reliant on the partner, there can be a 50-50 split. There's no real right or wrong way of doing it. In this particular example that Charlie's talking about here, the relationship between the partner and the customer is 50-50, i.e. the partner would act on the best interest of the customer, but if the customer needed something doing urgently, they were trained in my plan that at least allowed them to log into the portal, make a quick change and work in collaboration with the partner. So again, for us, it doesn't really matter how it's sold. Ultimately, the solution that exists for the customer and partner exists for you guys to sell however you need to. As long as the customer gets the best experience, that's kind of our key mission in all of this. Cool. Well, I can see someone's used the Q&A, so let me just pop in there quickly and see what it says. I can see Lee's popped a quick question there, so thanks, Lee. Will the demo account become available in our MyPlan portal? So the demo account is available for all of our myplan.com customers to access via V4. I'll talk you very quickly where it is, and I'll follow up your Lee post this call if you can't find it, mate. If you go on the top right-hand side of your V4 login, there's a burger menu. You can access the demo portal there. If you're unable to access it, what we'll do post this call is we'll just share the demo link with you guys so you can access it really quickly. We have 3 demo accounts within there that we class as Soho, SMB and Enterprise. In this example here, I've used the Enterprise demo account because it's the one I think that gives the most functionality and displays the information in a really valid way. We're currently working on a MyPlan demo, but what the plan is with the MyPlan demo is that effectively we give you guys the ability to not only access it, but also the ability to share that with the customer, which is something we're working on, and we shouldn't be too far away from that. So that'll be something we get in contact with you guys, hopefully over the coming weeks, that at least allows you guys not only the ability to view it yourself, but also share with your customer for a Rolls-Royce experience, we like to call it here. So that shouldn't be too far away. I don't think we have any other demonstrations, so what I'll just do is I'll end the call. The call is available for review afterwards as well, and then we can share it with anyone if you have any demo requirements. But as I say, if anyone has any questions or wants any further information, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to talk you through it. But this has been a great experience, and hopefully we'll talk to you all again soon.
Thanks for joining all.